And I grew up in a little village surrounded by nature. Loads of trees, loads of environment out there. This was winter, my uncle. Maybe I was 2 years old at that time, you know, just on the opposite side of our house. And you can see there, loads of trees around my kampong. The idea is that we've chopped down the trees already in Europe. But my kampong is surrounded by trees. And you know what? The trees largely belong to the community. The community owns the trees and actually manages the trees. What I used to do is, even though I'm an environmental guy, I used to chop down trees. Isn't that bad? In a way, yes, but actually, this was a sustainable tree planting methodology, where those trees that we chopped down in one place, 20 years later, it was ready for harvesting again. And it belonged to the whole community, so depending on how many shares your family had in the community, you got plots of trees allocated. And these trees were regrown again, so it was a very sustainable community-based way of benefiting from Mother Nature. Instead of using oil, which is non-renewable, using biomass, if you have a clean burner, can be much more environmentally friendly because it's renewable. The trees, as they grow, have absorbed CO2, carbon dioxide, turned it into oxygen. You know, Malaysia has a very beautiful nature. Are you still connected with nature? Are you still tuned in with the natural environment? You know, sometimes we lose that connection. Malaysia is one of the top 5 countries in terms of biodiversity. Malaysia is incredibly blessed with natural resources. You know, back in my little kampong in Germany, but first I have to show you the Kuala Selangor monkey with the David Beckham haircut. Isn't that amazing? Even fashionable, the biodiversity in Malaysia. That was a couple of years ago, I think, at the time when David Beckham had that haircut. So even these monkeys know what's, you know, en vogue. Back to the kampong, that was me, going skiing in winter. I didn't want to do my homework, I wanted to go out there all the time. When I was a kid, I had this reality for minimum 3 months every winter. That was a fact. I never had snow disappearing all my teenage years when I can remember. This is the current generation, my brother's son, his friend, in the same place, in the same kampong, in the little village in Germany. But they have one problem. When I had 3 months of uninterrupted snow, nowadays it snows, some days very heavily, and then maybe 2 or 3 days later, all the snow is gone again. We have a totally different climate reality in my kampong in Germany than I used to have 25 years ago. What about Malaysia? We are closer to the equator, so the fluctuations are not so big. But I've had people tell me, when they used to be young, maybe stayed in a kampong house, they even used, you know, some cover in the night because they felt a bit cool, because the cool air was cooling the house. But now we live in our concrete buildings that release the heat that has been absorbed during the day in the concrete in the night. If we would have houses that don't need air conditioning in the night, we would save so much money for Malaysia, so much money for the people, and so much for the environment. But instead, we've built concrete houses that make it like a sweatshop in the night. Isn't that crazy? We've designed things in the name of modern development that don't actually sometimes make sense.